Everybody give me applause. I did it right this week. Okay, so, Doug, did you just want to answer questions this week, or did you want to go over a couple things first?
I think we'll start with answering questions, and we'll see what happens from there.
All right, everybody knows *8, and that'll put your hand up so I can unmute one person at a time to ask questions. Okay, we have one here.
Okay.
All it's showing is Connecticut. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Bernice. I know a little bit about accepted for value. I've never done it, and I understood that this was going to be a call that teaches us how to do that.
Yes, or answer questions concerning it, yes.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm looking forward to the explanation of what to do.
Okay, on debts, which are basically anything that you've been given credit for, like credit cards, mortgages, car loans, collection letters, bills from hospitals, student loans. These are all kinds of debts because somebody's giving you type of credit. And I consider those utilities as well because they're kind of a quasi-government creation. And whenever the government demands you pay something, they have to have a method for you to pay. So the accepted for value works on those things as well as court documents. And what you basically do is you write on the statement, accepted for value, exempt from levy. Then you sign your name and date it. Put your exemption ID number, which is your Social Security number, without dashes. Deposit to the Treasury and charge to your all-capital name and your Social Security number with dashes. If you have a voucher, if it's an IRS-related voucher, you can just put on there money order, and that's all you need to do. You can put accepted a warehouse receipt is payment in full at the bottom or something of that nature, but it's not necessary. But marking that little voucher that they send into you is important to say this is a money order or money order. And then you endorse the back of it. If it's a non-IRS related issue, such as a hospital bill or something of that nature, then I'll take their voucher or their payment coupon or their stub or whatever you want to call it and put on their money order, pay to the United States Treasury, then you spell out the amount of money, and then you write in numerals the amount of money, just like you would on a check, by, sign your name, authorized representative, Social Security number without dashes, and then endorse the back of that. If there is no voucher, then you find a page that has the amount of money that they're requesting. And then you take that and then do the accepted for value, turn it into a money order. You just treat the whole thing as if it's a voucher, and then you endorse the back. Did I make that clear?
Yeah, I wrote really fast. I don't know if I quite got it all. Is there any pictorial of this? Because I did this once. I did this with IRS, and I didn't quite know how to enforce it because I got back letters saying, that if I file any more frivolous papers, that I'll be fined $5,000 each time. And I quite didn't know or have any guidance on what to do, so I didn't do anything, further with that.
Okay. Your first part of your question was what?
If there's any kind of pictorial, because I remember...
pictorial. Yeah, you can get a copy of this from hjrbonds.com. They send them out free. There's no obligations. They don't put any advertisements in there. You just log onto the website under the Contact Us tab, and there's...
I did it through them. That's who I did it with a number of years back, and I just
couldn't... Well, then you might need an updated sample. I don't know if it's changed over the years, but you could ask for an updated sample. And do you remember where you sent that accepted for value?
I think I sent it to the, I did a bond also. I did both. And I sent it, the U.S. Treasury. I forgot the name of the guy that was in office, and if I heard it, I'd recognize it.
Paulson?
Yeah,
No.
I sent it to him.
Okay, yeah. Well, I don't send them to the Treasury Department, and I don't send them back to the office from which they originate. I send them to either the Ogden address, the Covington address, or the address in D.C. Those are the only three that I'm aware of currently that know how to handle accepted for values. If you get a frivolous letter, then it's probably because you got somebody who doesn't know what they're doing with them and thought that it was frivolous. Not that it was, not that you did anything wrong. You just sent it to the wrong guy.
Right.
Pardon?
Yeah, I understand that. I actually had conversations with them to advise them to research what to do with this, but it didn't do me any.
Yeah, they're not really good about stuff like that unless they already know what to do with them. But if you send them to one of the three addresses, they pretty much know what to do with them. Occasionally you might get somebody who doesn't, like they hire somebody new or something and they haven't been told the secrets that they're supposed to take with to their grave. So it's just a matter of going to the right place. And that's why I often tell people, if one place doesn't work and you know you did it right, send it to the other address. You know, when the next month comes along, you get a new one, send it to the other address. That way you're not dealing with the same bozo, because you don't know if they hired somebody new and they said, okay, you take all the people who have come in the last week or maybe whose last names start with, T or something, and then they take all these things and they come across and accept it for value and say, I don't know what to do with this. It must be frivolous. So they go over and do their job, or what they think is their job, and send you out a frivolous letter.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to, yeah.
With what I did a couple years back, I can't take that and send a copy again. There's two things here with my situation. One, I settled on a significant amount of the tax balance because it's a long story. I settled on most of it. I still have, I don't know, maybe $10,000 left. So is there anything I can do to recover my settlement funds, or that's gone?
I honestly don't know. I have heard some people, when they've done this process correctly, they have received money that has been taken from them, that has been garnished, or something along those lines, and sometimes they just get left alone. A few people get an occasional letter that says thank you, but I wouldn't expect that from them. So it's really hard to say whether or not you're going to get your money back. But the most important thing is to stop them bleeding you dry now. And
right.
Yeah, you can use an old one. You can use an old copy of one. I remember here.
You're talking
Yep.
about an old copy of what?
A copy of your previous tax bill. You said you had one?
Yeah, well, I have the part that I settled on. I'm sure I have old copies of it.
Yeah, just take those old copies and do an accepted for value on it and send it to them.
Okay, because I had also done a bond, and that's what I got the frivolous letters from.
Yeah. The bond should have gone through, and I don't know what you do to enforce that either. I don't even know what you would do to enforce the accepted for value. It's just that I wanted to find a way that I didn't have to enforce something, that they would know what to do, and so far they've been pretty good. I think I've only gotten one bill that has come back to me, and that may be because I waited too long and it missed the cycle for them closing out the account or something. But I just took that and accepted for value and put it in an envelope and sent it to them, and I haven't heard back from them since.
Wow, that's great. And you've done it with the utilities also?
I don't have any utilities where I am right now. It's all kind of inclusive in the rent, but I don't see why it wouldn't, because it is a government requirement. If it's a government requirement, then it's a tax. If it's
okay,
a tax,
so if I look on the HJR bonds, because it's been a long time since I did this, I'll be able to see examples, because I remember I had to do it in red ink, and it had to be across it from left side up to the right side. Is that what you're talking about also, that would apply?
Yeah. Basically, that sounds like it, at a 45-degree angle. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I did, like I said, I did it a number of years back, so I'll refresh myself on that. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Free-man creditor, you're next.
Hi, Doug. I've got a couple quick questions. One is you say on the A for V to sign it and date it, but isn't the A for V stamp have a date on it already?
No, well, not necessarily. Well, some people use their birth date. I've heard that's going around out there, and I don't use that, or they use some other date that they have that means something to them. And I don't see a problem with using that. From the sounds of it, it worked okay. But no, mine are done on the computer because usually I do a lot of them.
Do you put on the stamp? Do you put the date on the stamp, or do you actually write the date in blue?
Well, I've done it both ways.
Okay.
Usually, if I do the date, I'll put it in red with everything else. But there have been times when I've gotten busy and didn't switch pens and put it in blue, and I don't think the date matters one way or the other. In fact, I recently heard somebody say that they do their accepted for value all in red, and they haven't had any problems. Sign it and everything. And I've sent a couple as experiments all in blue, and they took those.
Okay. All right. Now, I saw your information on Remedy by Method on the site, and you show where you have the money order and the signature there, but you do not have a date with the signature. You say use it like a check, but there is no date on the money order part. Is that something that is any critical information, or does it not matter?
Must not matter. I guess I forget to put that on there. I figure if there's one date on there already that I sign, that's close enough. I don't know that for sure. I may have just been lucky so far. I think it's a good idea to put a date on there. You know, sign it, then put a date behind that.
On the money order?
Yeah, but I don't think that is, but apparently it's not absolutely necessary. Okay.
And then just on the back of the money order, just the signature is required, nothing paid to the order of or anything like that, just a straight signature is all that matters?
Yeah, that's how I do it. I know I have seen, and I think even HJR Bonds has a sample with something written on the back of it, paid to the order of the IRS or something, which is fine. And if you are sending it to a utility or something, you can change the IRS name out to the name of the company or utility. I prefer just to sign it, make it easy on myself, because then since I do everything through the computer, or the vast majority of it, I have to change my type, and I don't always do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
North Indiana, you're up next.
Hey, Doug?
Yes?
I was on last night's call when you were talking, and I didn't get your last name. Is it possible I could have that?
Yeah, Douglas Riddle, Riddle. You're not a government agent, are you?
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
No. I'm just a guy that's got into mortgage problems and credit cards from business that I have no more. I've been in business since I graduated high school, and I'm just trying to look for a way out. So if I go to HJR Bonds, then this website here will be all pretty much self-explanatory.
For what? For receiving a sample copy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, because they don't really go into what you need to do for a sample, but you just go to their website under the Contact Us, contact either Dan or Travis, and I think there's also another drop down that I think you just put other down there, and in the box you just type in there, I heard about that you have accepted for value samples. May I please have one? and they'll send it to you.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, Doug, we posted what you sent out last week, which had the examples for the IRS, and I'm assuming that for other bills would be much similar, except instead of paid to the Treasury, it's going to be to whatever company. Am I correct?
No, everything's deposited to the Treasury or paid to the Treasury. If you're doing the money order, it's paid to the Treasury, U.S. Treasury, and if you're doing the accepted for value, it's deposit to U.S. Treasury. All of them. Doesn't matter whether it's a hospital bill or an IRS tax or some kind of loan or something. It all goes to the U.S. Treasury.
All right,
That's how I've been doing it so far.
Maybe we could get you to draw us up an example, and I'll get that posted so everybody can see. All right, this next one. Ooh, ALYSMIK.
Hello, Doug. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have a school loan of about $9,000 that the first payment is due this month.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you suggest doing that? And are we sending these then to the IRS, or are we sending these to the Treasury, or am I sending this, where would I be sending this to?
They all go to the IRS.
Okay.
Either Ogden, Covington, or the address in D.C.
Okay.
You probably have monthly expenses or monthly payments on that student loan.
Correct.
Then I would pay minimum payments while I do the accepted for value. Unless you don't really care what they might do, because student loans, they tend to be, so-so on those that they want them paid, yes, but they go through a long, drawn-out process before they actually go after anybody, because that's what guaranteed student loans are. But if you want to stay in honor, if you want to stay somewhat current, if you want to make yourself look good, I don't know, they might do something to your credit report if you don't do it. So it's best just to pay them minimum amount that you can, mm-hmm. that keeps them happy and at bay, and then do the accepted for value.
Okay. And I would how would I do the accepted for value then for the whole amount? Is it not going to be on the statement? I don't have the statement in front of me. I should have. Sorry.
Well, usually the statements will have the full amount and then what you're supposed to pay for that month. And when you do the money order, you just write it out for the full amount. If you don't have the full amount on there, but you know what it is, then go ahead and put the full amount on there. If you're not sure what the full amount is, there are some things that I don't know what the amount is, and I'll just give them a blank money order and let them figure it out.
Okay. And as far as money order, are you saying using a 1040Z and then putting money order at the top of it or something?
I don't use 1040Bs. I don't use Form 56. And anymore, I don't even send them a cover letter, because would you send them a cover letter if you wrote them a check or sent them a postal money order?
No.
They know they know what to do with these things. So I don't even send them that much. On a rare occasion, I might send them a cover letter if it's semi-important or something. I do send them a Form 50 or 1040V on bond paper only to separate the various piles, because sometimes I'll have, like when I first got started, I had 6 or 7 different hospital organizations billing me that had 4 or 5 pages each. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of pages. And since I put them all together and sent them in, I wanted to find some way to separate one pile from another. And I thought, okay, well, I'll put a bond paper in there because it's thick, it's noticeable, you can feel it. And then I thought, well, why not just throw it on a 1040B for kicks? It's not that much extra. It doesn't matter if it's done right. I try to do it for the same year that the bills are due and everything. But in reality, it's not necessary. I've sent on a lot of stuff without them, and they've been taken care of. I just use them as separators.
So then how do you use this money order? Do you write money order on the coupon, or how do you do that?
Yes.
I see.
Coupon, voucher, bill stub, whatever it is you happen to have, I put money order on it.
Okay. Okay, so in the sample from HDR Bonds, it probably showed something similar then, correct?
Yes, their sample will have an accepted for value on the statement, the upper half, and then they'll have a money order on the voucher, which is the lower half. And you just basically follow that pattern. If there's no voucher, then you treat the whole thing as a voucher, and you put your accepted for value and your money order on the same thing.
Okay. And you send the whole thing together? You don't take the coupon apart or anything like that?
You can take it apart if you want. I did that a couple of times, and I thought, well, they took these others without me doing it. And the understanding was that if you separate it yourself, it goes a little bit quicker because they don't have to stop and cut it and do all those other things. And I thought, well, I'm not really in a hurry for any of this stuff, so what if it takes a couple of days or a week longer? As long as it gets taken care of, that's fine. So I'm lazy. But if you feel like you need to do it, then by all means do it. But if you don't have a voucher or a coupon or a bill stub or something like that, don't start cutting the paper. You know, it's all the voucher, so it all goes.
So then take the whole thing, put it in a separate envelope, and do your A for V on the larger part, and then send it into Ogden or the other address, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Connecticut, you're next.
Oh, this is Bernice again, and I'm trying to remember what my question was.
It had something to do with accepted for value.
Can you use certified copy or just copy?
I didn't quite hear that. Did you say, can you use a certified copy or what?
What
I think
happened?
we lost her.
Still there?
Yeah, I was muted. So.
Oh.
Can you use a copy of the bill or just the original bill to do AFV on it?
I do the original bills, but I don't see why you can't use a copy of the bill. I heard Winston Shrout one time say that because somebody was asking him during one of his video conferences that you can get on CDs, what they would do in those kind of situations, and he just said, well, just make a copy of it. He says, what if you don't have one? He says, then write it out on a piece of paper. So it doesn't sound like you actually need the original. You just need something to write on and inform them. You got to make sure the account number's on there and everything else if you don't have a copy of it. But that's what they're looking for. They're looking for account numbers. They're looking for the businesses that they need to contact, and as long as they have that information, that shouldn't be a real problem.
How about for court documents?
With court documents, I do handle a little bit differently in as much as I'll accept for value both sides, because I've heard it said that court documents, the one side's criminal and the other side's civil, and you want to make sure that you take care of both criminal and civil. So I would do both sides on a court document. But essentially it's the same thing. You go through, I do all the papers. Now I've heard some people say they'll just do one page and it's been working fine. I just haven't gotten up to that comfort level yet. But you need at least one of those pages and do both sides, and then find the one that's asking you for money, turn it into a money order, and send it in either to the court or to the IRS.
So, so for court documents, even not certified documents is fine.
55 documents. I think this might be one that I would test, see if they would take just one. Because that seems like
certified copy or just original or just a copy, plain copy, certified copy of the court documents.
You could do it either way. It could be I don't see any need for certified copies. You can do just either copies or you can just send in the originals. It kind of all depends on what you want to keep, because in one sense you want to make copies just in case they lose it. You know, the mailman loses something. You know, things happen. You know, they might have a big stack of papers and somebody trips and knocks something over and your papers wind up in the trash or something. But ultimately, I think you want to keep a copy just for yourself, even if it's an electronic copy that you can later print out if you need to.
Yeah, because it's so expensive to get certified copies of the court documents.
Yeah, I don't see you needing any certified. I did hear one guy say that he went and got 9 certified copies of his court documents, put accepted for value on all of them. I don't know that he did a money order. And then he sent them to the court, to the prosecutor, I think, and to several other government agencies. And it was taken care of. I think he could have done it quicker if he would have just gone through the IRS.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Connecticut, you're on this time.
Okay, I remembered my question. Mentioned an A for V stamp. Is that something we purchase, or what is that, please?
I don't. Well, I do have some stamps, and I use the kind that where you get the letters, and you have to kind of build your own. That way, in case later on I decided I want to change the wordage or verbiage or something, that I can do that relatively easily. But for the most part, I print everything out through the computer. I just put it in my program, figure out where it's going to wind up, and then just load everything up and print it out that way.
So you're printing it out right on the bill, or you're printing out something that you attach to the bill?
I print it out on the bill.
Also, okay, so that's a little too sophisticated for me. I guess I'll just write it.
You can do that too. You can just get a pen and just write accepted for value on it. I'll do that when I have just like 1 or 2, just because it is a lot of work to set it up in the computer. Once it's set up, it goes pretty quick, but it does take time and it does cost more paper than what a lot of people might not want to do.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have upstate South Carolina.
Hello, Carolina?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
I've got 3 or 4 questions. On credit card bills, do you pay the minimum payment?
I would keep paying the minimum payment on credit card bills or any of those bills in which you want to make sure you keep and don't want the account closed. That way, because you don't know how long it's going to take, and if you miss a couple of payments, they may shut off your electricity or your water or your cable or something, and you don't want that. You want to make sure that things are progressing smoothly. Once you get used to the system and the cycle and everything, you might be able to figure out how long something's going to take, so you know how many months you're going to have. But in the beginning, be prepared for anything. You know, if you're just making your minimum payments, you should be good.
Okay, I was talking about credit cards. I wanted to go into the heat and electricity bill. If that's really got me bumfuzzled, do you send them the bill every single month that you have? And how do you keep it from getting cut off? Because we don't have minimums here. We have to pay the complete payment, whether it's $100, $200, or whatever.
I don't know because, like I said, I don't have any utilities. It's all included in my rent. Yeah, I honestly don't know what to tell you on that one. If they're making you pay every month, it sounds more like they're using it as a purchase than they are as a credit or a debt. So it may not be that you can do that. You can still try it and just take a bill and do it and see what happens. But you're going to have to keep making your payments, otherwise they're going to. It could take the IRS up to 60 days to do this. Sometimes they take longer, sometimes they take less.
Okay, when you send in a bill to them and they do pay it, how do you know they paid it? You don't?
Technically, I don't. They don't tell me. All I know is that I quit being billed. The phones quit ringing saying, "Are you going to pay this month?" And I tell them, "No, I'm still unemployed. I'm not going to be able to do anything." So they quit sending me bills. They quit calling me on the phone. Nothing's going to the collection agency. Nothing's showing up on my credit report. Sounds like the bill's paid to me.
Okay. For lawyers that have bugged you, and it's really slowed down to almost nothing, but I've got judgments, I've got liens, I've got levies, you name it, I've got it against me. But for lawyers that are bugging you, now they just send you like just a standard, they're the collection agency, whatever, but they don't have an amount on the letter anymore. How do you go about finding out how much that is?
Well, you could call them up and say, I'm really interested in paying this off. How much do I owe you?
Okay.
And see what they tell you, and then you do the accepted for value, make out your money order for that amount. But if for some reason you can't find out the amount, just do an accepted for value and leave the money order blank. Sign it, date it, do everything that you need to do to it, endorse the back of it, and then send that off.
Well, they're not sending me anything as far as it having a money order or you owe such and such. That's not on the letters anymore.
No, but they're sending you something. Just
right.
accept that. Just accept that for value. Put a money order on it. Leave it blank.
Okay.
Leave the amount blank. Sign it, date it, do everything else. Endorse the back. And if there's something written on the back, do an accepted for value on that as well. If there's something written on the back, that's something I forgot to mention. If there's something written on the back, I do an accepted for value.
So sad.
Also, in court cases, I will make sure I read the court case to make sure I'm not accepting to go to jail as value. I don't want to do that. So, kind of keep your eyes open for those kind of things. But credit cards, just make your minimum payment and then do the accepted for value and turn it into a money order and send that in to them.
Now, you said something really important there. If they pay off, say you've got $1,000 on it, and you send it in to them, to the IRS, and they pay that off, were you still implying that you can keep the card and use it?
Depends on how you do it. If you pay the full amount off, the credit card companies will often see that as you closing out your account, and if it's completely paid off, you don't want to do that. So you want to short them. You want to pay them, if it's $1,000, you want to pay them $900. So that way you still have room for minimum payments, and that there'll be an amount still left open afterwards. And that way you can start getting an idea of how long it's going to take for them to settle the account or settle that amount, and can make your plans around that.
Wow.
So, you do need to be careful when you're doing credit cards, because you don't want, that is if you want to keep them open. If you don't want to keep them open, then it doesn't really matter. But if you do want to keep them and you want to use them, that's the way to go. And
now, sorry, go ahead.
And once you get this down and everything, then you can use those to pay off your utilities if they don't take care of them, and then you can discharge them through your credit card account.
Wow, that's awesome. Is there any way we could get the addresses for Ogden, Covington, and D.C.?
Sure.
I post them on the Yahoo group again a little bit later, Doug, unless you want to go over them.
Oh, would that work for you, as if they're posted on the Yahoo group?
Yeah, I just need the address for the Yahoo group.
You're not a member of Yahoo Redemption by Method?
No, My girlfriend's the one who told me about this call.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, maybe I should just go over the addresses. This is being recorded, so I don't necessarily have to go real slow. Washington, D.C. address, IRS Technical Support Division, care of Treasury, UCC Contract Trust, Internal Revenue Service, 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20220. The Ogden address, Internal Revenue Service, stop 4440, Post Office Box 9036, Ogden, Utah 84201. And the Covington address, Internal Revenue Service, Criminal Investigation Division, Box 192, Covington, Kentucky 41012.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Mr. Quester out of PA, you're up next.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, Doug?
Yes.
Hi, buddy. Hey, good
Hi.
call. Appreciate the
Thank
information. Hey, it's Larry here in PA. I'm the executor of my dad's estate, trying to settle the estate. So the things that have to do with him, should they come out of my account or his account?
Well, it doesn't sound like he can sign.
No, but I'm the executor, so I could sign. I can write his name.
Oh, you could sign in his behalf.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could probably do it either way, to be honest. I don't see any reason why you couldn't do it with his or with yours.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Or, if in doubt, you can put both on there.
True. Okay. It was just something a little different I thought I'd throw out there just in case somebody...
Well, yeah, I hadn't really considered that one before. It's interesting. I'd probably do an accepted for value on both sides, but basically the same principle.
Or just try it. If it doesn't work, do it the other side.
There's that too, yeah.
Yeah, that too. It's been 2 years now anyway.
I tell people to make copies of these things so that, if you do it with your dad's information and it doesn't work, then you can just print out a copy and do it with your own information.
Because I understand they keep those accounts open for like 10 years after the death.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I heard it's 10 years, so it's not like they close them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right, Connecticut, you're up.
Hi, I'm back again. I also was invited by a friend of mine, and I'm not familiar with the Yahoo group and how to become a part of that.
What's the Yahoo group called Redemption by Method, and I guess you just do a search for it. Once you get to the Yahoo website, then you go to the group section and then look for Redemption by Method.
Oh, it's redemption, not reduction. It's redemption.
Redemption, yes.
I caught that wrong. Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Southwest Florida.
I have a question.
Yes.
In regards to a college tuition, if I'm wanting to go to an educational facility, can I approach them beforehand and ask for a billing statement for your college education, and then A for V that? Is that something you can do before you start your classes, or do you have to wait till after it's all done and after you've got a student loan and all that? You see what I'm saying? Can you A for V at the front, or do you have to wait till it's pretty much done? You understand my question?
Yes, and from how I understand it, because I really don't know for absolute certainty, but the way I understand it is you have to wait. You can't do it to begin with because that would be a form of purchase, and form of purchase could get you into trouble.
Correct. Yeah, I understand now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, if I thought about that, I would have answered my own question. All right, I'll get off so someone else can ask a question. I appreciate your time and good information, by the way.
You're welcome.
Soaring Eagle 212.
Hi, this is Nikki. Hi, Doug. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing, Nikki?
I'm doing great. I really don't have a question. You're covering so much great stuff, and I'm understanding it more. But to my friends out there that don't know how to get on to Redemption by Method, I will be sending you an email when I get back on my computer, and I will give you the link so you can all get on Redemption and find out all this awesome information that's being handed to us. And thanks, Doug. Have a great evening.
Okay, thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right, we're back to, he's going to have to tell me how to pronounce this time, Alysmik.
I pronounce that Aliznik.
Okay, now I got it. Go ahead.
Hi, Doug. Hey, maybe about a month ago, I actually saw on the group, and I had downloaded this package. So now I'm looking at this, and I see that on the front of the example, you have "This is a money order" in red, and then at the bottom you also have "Acceptance of warehouse receipt is paid in full." Is that what you should also write on the bottom of the coupon?
You can. It's not absolutely necessary.
Okay.
I mean, there are things you can throw on there if you want to. I haven't seen that it makes any difference one way or the other. Some people said that it was quicker. That's what HJR bonds, why they kept on doing things just a little bit different each time, is because somebody reported that it was quicker when they did this, or less explanations or something along that line. I haven't seen that it made any difference one way or the other. So if you feel comfortable about that, then use it.
Okay. And then the exemption ID and your Social Security, you're not using the back number, the private number on your card. You're just using your Social Security number with or without dashes. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Cool.
Now, some people do use the back of the card and get the federal routing number and all that kind of stuff, and it works. So if you're used to that or understand that principle, then you can keep on using it. I don't. I use the front of the card. That's how I was kind of taught and trained and everything, and that's how I'll keep on doing it.
Okay. All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Connecticut, you're on.
Hi, this is Bernice again, and I appreciate all this information. I'm in bankruptcy court in Chapter 13, and I'm also in a foreclosure. And I'm wondering if I should present copies of what I sent to validate that I'm in process of paying off the debt, or how I might approach that.
Say that again. I'm not sure I quite understood. You're going to show who, what?
I'm in a Chapter 13 that's probably going to be dismissed December 10th because I haven't followed through with the paperwork. So, and I'm also in foreclosure, so I'm dealing with the court that deals with foreclosures. And, I'm sort of, I don't have a heck of a lot of time left. I don't know if I have 60 days left. I don't know how much time I have left. So I was wondering if I do this, the for value, if I should present a copy, in addition to sending it to IRS, present a copy to either of those courts, if that would help me at all, or be not good for me to do.
I don't know that it would be good or not good, to be honest, because it all kind of depends on how the court responds to it. If they know what they're supposed to be doing with these, then it would be a good thing. If they don't, then all you're doing is opening up another can of worms. You could try stalling and tell them that you may continue on with the bankruptcy, but that you may have found a way to pay everybody off and make everybody happy, and what you need is a little more time. And so keep it kind of in limbo, so to speak.
Right.
As far as your foreclosure goes, yeah, that'd be a tough one because you don't know how long it's going to take before the IRS gets around and settling it. And one of the things that's good to belong to the Redemption by Method group is that they have other methods to use too. I would go ahead use the accepted for value process on it, but I'd also look at the RPOA, the revocation power of attorney, and let's see, I think there was another one too. And I haven't really studied these methods, but these would be in addition to, because one of the things you can do that most people aren't aware of is you can fire the trustee.
Right. I did some of those papers, but I haven't filed them yet with the court. I'm in the middle of so many different processes.
Yeah, I understand that because I've been there too, where I just had all this paper, drowning in paper, as it were, and it can get really messy. But you just kind of take one thing at a time and do that. But yeah, I'd get that accepted for value in the mail as soon as I possibly could. Make sure you do it correctly, so don't go too quick. But yeah, and then see what you can do about stalling. You might even call up the bank and say, I think I may have found a method in which to settle the account, and we won't have to do this. Can you give me another 30 days?
Right. I mean, I still do have some time on the foreclosure, but I've stalled this. I've dragged this out over 3 years, so I think at this point I don't need any more time. But my question also is there anything written that explains the process that could be presented if I choose to present this in court, so that they could easily find the information that validates the process that I'm doing?
To validate the accepted for value process?
Right. Is there any place where I could print out something that would explain what I'm doing so that they can see that it's of substance, and if they desire to validate it themselves, they would know how to do that?
Yes, there is, but not in any one location. It's like bits and pieces everywhere. So you have to explain to them the United States is in bankruptcy, and we're using debt instruments, and I think there's like a 30-page document on the bankruptcy of the United States. Then you can go into HRJ 192, Public Law 7310, Title 31, Section 5118, which all basically state that they will discharge debt dollar for dollar. And you can go into the Constitution, says that the Constitution demands that we use only money. And if we're not, then what are we using? And if they start whining complaints, you can tell them 14th Amendment says you can't complain about the debt. So you either take it or you take it. Then I think there's parts in UCC, and I'm not sure of those places, but it talks about monetary instruments being used. So there are lots of places where this stuff could show validation, but to collect them all and present it easily is not easy.
Maybe there's a way to put out a request if anybody has done that, if they're willing to share the work that they've done. Somebody must have done something like this.
That's a good idea. And I don't know who would do that. I suppose you can go on the group and start there on the various groups, the CIC groups, Commerce in Common, Redemption by Method. You can maybe write to hjrbonds.com and see if anybody has information or at least codes and title sections that you can look up and determine which ones you want to use. But, there is so much stuff out there. I mean, the Constitution says we have to use gold and silver for our money, and we're not using anything that's remotely close to gold and silver. So if we're not, how are they getting away with it? And if they can use promissory notes, which is what Federal Reserve notes are, then why can't we use notes as well?
Right.
We're not supposed to be in a country where there's a monopoly on anything. That includes Federal Reserve notes.
That's a good point. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I wish I had better eyes.
Indiana, you're up.
Yeah, Doug?
Yes.
Okay, this is Glenn. I heard you make a statement to somebody that when they had to inquire about how much they owed or something, and for them to tell them that what they wanted to do was get this paid off.
Yes.
I don't think you ever used the term paid off. What you should say is you want to get this debt satisfied.
Satisfied or settled, you're right. That's the way you should do it.
Right. Never use the term you're going to pay them off.
Okay. You're right.
Okay. I just wanted to get that because these people are listening, and you don't want to get them out there in trouble. But that's all I got to say.
Okay. Yeah, because I did that very thing. Is these things that were listed on my credit report, I wrote to the companies and told them, I am trying to settle this account. What do I need to do in order for me to get a positive rating or for you to delete the information off my credit report? What do I need to settle the account? So, yeah, I'm very aware that you shouldn't use the words pay because there is no way to pay.
Okay, well, that's all I have to say. I just wanted to get that out to people so they're not going to be writing paid out or paid off or any of that. Don't use the word pay in nothing. So
yeah, that's especially true with the IRS. With the other companies, most of them don't know the difference between anything. It's a good idea to keep in that practice to satisfy or settle the account, discharge or offset, anything but pay. So you're right. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Arizona, you're up.
Oh, yes, I was just wondering if it's really important to send it by certified mail or just regular mail.
I used to send it by certified mail. I don't do that anymore. I figure they get it. I'm happy. They're happy. Everybody's happy. So I just drop it in the mail now. It's just like me paying a bill without using any of my checks or going to the post office for money orders or doing any of that other kind of stuff. I just fill it out, drop it all in an envelope, and send it to them. Now, if there's something where I'm having difficulty, like maybe they lost something or maybe I have a malevolent IRS agent that destroyed some documents because, I don't know, maybe they got fired and decided just to grab a handful of documents and burn them on his way out. But for whatever reason, I'm getting another bill, then, especially from the IRS or something. Then that I will send by certified mail, just because there's a potential problem, and I want to document this a little stronger. Aside from that, or if I'm doing a mortgage, I'd probably send that by certified mail too, just because that's highly important. But if it's just minor stuff, I'd probably just drop it in an envelope and send it off to them.
Thanks.
All right, Connecticut's back.
Hi, Doug.
Hi,
Doug. I'm back. Would it be wise or not wise to send it to all three of those IRS locations at the same time?
I don't see why you would need to, unless you're just trying to make sure it gets taken care of right away.
Right, but there wouldn't be anything negative to do with it, to do that, would it? Would there?
Not to my knowledge. If something does negative happen, let me know. But as far as I know, I don't think there would be. They might have cause to celebrate because they realized it was paid off and they got a money order and they say, let's buy some champagne and get drunk.
Well, what would happen if they got it from three different IRS offices and let's say an electric bill and they got three payments? What happens then? I mean, you'd be paid forward.
Most likely the electric company will be paid off and happy, and the IRS agents would be drunk on champagne.
So it would create a pay-it-forward type of situation that would be a problem.
Not Not really that I can see. I might be a rare instance where you actually get the money back or show an overpayment, but I wouldn't count on it. I really wouldn't. I would think that it would be more of a surprise than anything else. Probably an agent who doesn't know what they're doing and knows a little bit of information, sees that it's already paid off, and says, oh, well, I'll give her a refund. But I wouldn't expect that. And I don't see any bad repercussions coming from it, because what are you going to do, get in trouble for paying it off or settling the account, I should say? I don't think they're going to come after you for something like that.
Okay, all right. And what about like somebody was asking about utilities? I mean, what if every month when as soon as we got our bill, we sent out an accepted for value and left the amount blank?
That's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah, if you know how long it's going to take, it might take you a couple of months to get in the swing of things, but at the first of every month you do an accepted for value and you have the account number, even if it's the same old copied bill that you got, on day one and just sent it in blank, that might be an interesting thing to see how it works out. I would think that would be fine.
We could just put, this is for November bill, this is for December bill, this is for January bill. So they would have them in advance so that we'd be covered on the 60 days. Possibly. I don't know. I would probably back month them if you're going to do anything. Put on there, this was for September, this was for October. That way it's an old debt and not a purchase. Unless we signed it with the date of the month that we wanted to apply to, but we'd be sending it. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it's like December now and you were to do one, then you would put down there for October. Oh, I was talking about forward. In other words, because they will sometimes shut service down if you're 2 months past due. So I was just trying to see how to get coverage for that. Well, I'm not saying wait till you're 2 months past due. I'm saying backdate it 2 months. Right. Because if you do it for a purchase, I don't think they're going to do that. Because it's forward. Now, I have heard someone say that because it's the government and all that other kind of stuff, that you can ask them for a year's bill and then accept that for value. Because they are a quasi-government operation, that it might work. So you're talking about a year's bill forward? Yes. Because it is a requirement. It's a real gray area, so I don't really know how to answer that one. I'm just kind of guessing that, on one hand, it's a form of a purchase, and you don't want to do purchases. On the other hand, it's a government requirement, therefore it's a tax, therefore you can accept it for value. Now, can you do it for this month, next month, or last month? I don't know. So okay, you can try a variety of things and call them up and say, or do a calculation and figure out how much you're going to spend in the year, and do an accepted for value for that entire amount, and see what happens. Okay. I mean, that sounds good. The other thing is, can you do this for traffic tickets? I don't see why not. It's a government requirement, and they know there's no money, so they have to be willing more so to take care of those kind of debts than anything else. So, yeah, okay. I would do it for traffic tickets, parking tickets, or anything involving court. Okay, great. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
South Carolina, you're up again.
Hello?
Go ahead, South Carolina.
Oh, hello. I didn't know you were talking to me. One thing I've always been told was that if you send everything in a manila envelope, it doesn't have to be the huge one, but as long as it fits into a manila envelope, that they absolutely by law have to open that envelope first. It's always put on the top of their stack. So that's the way to get everything taken care of, where it's right in their priority list? And then number 2, can you take care of a regular phone bill the same way you would a utility bill?
I honestly don't know, because a phone bill is not required as such by the government. Although a phone line is. I mean, it's hard to buy a house without a telephone line on it. So I'm not positive on that. I would think that you wouldn't be able to, because you have a lot more options with phone companies and internet than you do with electricity or something like that, where you're only limited to 1 or 2 choices.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Larry and PA, you're up.
Hey, Doug, it's Larry again.
Hi.
Hey, how about someone else's bill?
I don't see why not, as long as you're using your information and your numbers. I don't think they care whose exemption account this comes out of.
Somebody, they wouldn't have the capability of doing all this, but you'd like to help them out. You don't want to reach in your pocket, but you don't mind reaching into your trust account and take care of it.
Yeah, you can do that. Show them what you're doing, so while they're biting their fingernails and panicking and about ready to have a coronary, that once they see that it's been taken care of, they go, oh, well, I can do that too.
Right, and then teach them how to do it.
Yeah.
Get them out of the fire, and then show them how to keep the fire down.
Yeah, just have to give them a lot of tranquilizers until they see it work.
I hear that one. That's all.
Larry, if I send all my bills to you, Larry, you'll take care of them?
I guess.
Okay, Doug, I don't know. I mean, I guess you've answered every... Wait a minute. Oh, here we go. I almost... How's my lick? How's... Say it again for me, please.
I had one more question here.
Okay.
Okay, so on my billing statement here, there's a total payment due of like $111, and then there's amount enclosed. Would there be any reason, to do this monthly, or should I just, do the whole thing, because it does show a current balance of, $9,800. So would you just put, the $9,800 in the amount enclosed and be done with it in one swoop, or what?
This is the credit card bill?
The direct loan, school loan.
Oh, yeah, I'd put the full amount in. In fact, anytime you see a little box and you're turning something into a money order, I would always put the amount in that box as opposed to writing it out within the money order. It just worked. I think it works better that way. But, yeah, I would do the full amount.
Okay. Okay, thank you then.
You're welcome. Because on that student loan, it does have the balance or the full amount that you owe on it. So there's no reason why you can't just put that number in there instead. You could do the same thing if you had a check or a postal money order or some other financial instrument that you could throw in there as well. So there's no reason why you can't just do the accepted for value and do your money order for the entire balance.
Okay. Now, on this coupon part, it says make check or money order payable to U.S. Department of Education. Should I, write that across the front as if this was a check or a money order, or just leave it, with money order at the top?
That's a good question. One of the reasons why I like putting the U.S. Department U.S. Department of Treasury is because they're the ones that are designed to discharge these debts dollar for dollar, and therefore putting somebody else on there just kind of creates kind of a quagmire. Of course, this is all still going to the IRS, but if they can't cash it, then they can't settle the debt. But then on the other hand, if the thing says make it payable to, so honestly I don't know. This might be one of those times where on the back of it, when I endorse it, I put on pay to the Department of School Loans or something of that nature, and then endorse it there, so that there's a kind of a continuity of flow. The other thing you could do, I suppose, is put 2 money orders on there and let the IRS decide which one they want to take care of. They might ignore one and take care of the other.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Is that all of them?
Can you hear me, Doug?
Oh, I can hear you.
You just said something that struck a bell with me. Did you say the only way the IRS can cash a money order is when it's made out to the Department of the Treasury?
That's my understanding, yeah, because they are a sub-department of the Department of Treasury, and so they are the accountants and money handlers for the Department of Treasury. So, yeah, that's how I see it.
So everything that we do on every money order that we write, it should be written out to the Department of the Treasury.
On the accepted for value should be written out to the Department of Treasury. The money order should be made out to payable to the Department of Treasury. Yes.
Wow.
That's how I do it. Now, what he brought up was an interesting thing where the voucher says make check or money order payable to, and then write that out there. So in that case, what actually might be a better idea is just treat it like the IRS bill where you just put money order on it and fill in the amount and let it go and let the IRS take it from there. This is a money order. Put in the amount, endorse the back, and then send it off to them. That might work just as well. Some of these things are just kind of like ideas, and you may have to tweak them a little bit. This is how I would handle it if I were to have gotten one. It may take some extra tweaking on some of these things because I don't have it down to a science yet. I'm just thinking of it as to make it make sense to whomever is going to be opening it. If they open it up and they see something like deposit to, Ford Motor Company, and they go, well, we're not Ford Motor Company. We can't legitimately cash these and offset the debt. Then they just kind of throw them away. So you want to make sure that it makes sense to whomever opening it. If it's deposit to U.S. Treasury and made payable to the company, they might be able to do something with that. They might be able to tweak it. I don't know for absolute fact on if they can or they can't.
Wow.
Did I clear things up, or did I make things more confusing?
Maybe a little muddy right there, but we'll listen to the thing again and get it all straightened out. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is John from Michigan. I got a couple of questions for you. Would you be able to, or do you think if you have regular bills that you paid for with cash out of your pocket, that you could turn that in and get that cash back?
Not through this process, no.
Okay.
You might be able to use some other process. As far as I know, using cash pretty much eliminates all processes because you don't have a real record of what you're spending the money on.
You do have the receipt from the store or wherever you've used the cash.
Yeah, but do you know what to do with it to get reimbursed?
Well, that's what I was asking. If you put them all together, listed 10 receipts on a sheet of paper with dollar amounts, and sent that in and said return or accepted for value, return for value, if they would send you the money back, or if you heard of anything like that.
I haven't heard of anything like that. It might be kind of fun to play with. I don't know what would happen if you did. Get a collection of your receipts, total up the amount, put a 1040B in there, and I don't know what they would do. They might scratch their heads and call the supervisor and say, what do we do with this? I don't know. I don't see any problems with it. I've seen, if you do this process properly, I don't see that even when you do it for something that you're not supposed to do, they just tend to ignore it. Like I did Comcast several different times in several different ways, to see if they would take it, and they never did. But everything else that I sent in with it was taken care of. They never sent me a frivolous letter because I did it or anything of that nature. So I don't know if I just got a nice person taking care of this or what. But, you know, Comcast, they never touched, and everything else they did.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me how long you've been doing the process?
I started over a year ago. I've been listening. Go ahead.
I say you've been at it for a year.
Over a year, yeah.
A year. Okay.
Yeah, it was about September of last year, maybe July or August, somewhere right around there. And that's when I started gathering up all my,
I say thank you very much for your information.
You're welcome.
I've heard about the process for over a year. I've dabbled with the process, but I'm finally talking to somebody that's actually said, I have done the process and it works.
It works.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yep. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Connecticut, you're back on.
Hi, Bernice again. This is sort of a silly question, but I don't know the answer to it. Does the U.S. Treasury actually pay the amount to the vendor or the creditor in cash, or is it done on paper?
I have no idea. I never really asked them or anything. And that the only example I have that comes close to answering that would be the guy who had $40,000 worth of back child support that he owed. And he didn't accept it for value, sent it into one of the 3 addresses of the IRS. And a few weeks later, his wife called up and says everything's been taken care of. So exactly what happened, I don't know. I assume they gave her a check, but I don't know. And I don't know where the check would have come from, if it would have come from the court, if it would have come from the IRS, or would have come from Treasury. All I know is that she was happy and satisfied, and you don't always get those from ex-wives.
Well, that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Doug, somebody on the chat line here wanted me to ask you if you could comment on the manila envelope that was mentioned a few minutes ago.
I thought it was interesting. I've never heard of using the manila envelope in that respect myself. But again, if you got 1,000 people using manila envelopes, that's great. You're on top and will be handled first. But you could be on the bottom of that top pile. So, it's good to know if it's actual correct and everything that you're on the upper pile rather than on the lower pile. Because I put a few things in just a regular envelope myself, and had I known that, I might have put it in a manila envelope instead. But, again, more and more people are using this process. If we're all using manila envelopes, then we could still end up on the bottom of the top pile.
All right. Well, it's 19 after. We have one more question. You let us know when it's time for you to go.
Okay.
Mr. Larry from PA again.
Hey, Doug, Larry again.
Hi.
When you're taking care of a presentment from the court and you've got so many days to do it, you're going to accept it for value and you send it off to the IRS. How do you notify the court so that they see that you've acted upon their request within the time period that they allotted?
You just have to bear and grin it, or you could write to them and say that you are doing your best to meet the requirements of the settlement, and you will have it taken care of as soon as possible, or something along those lines. You just want to basically stall them.
Yeah, but you don't want to let them know what you're doing.
Normally, no. I mean, you could do an accepted for value and send it to them, and if they make any whines or complaints about it, you can say, well, if you won't accept this, and I'll accept the fact that you don't want to accept this, then I need more time in which to settle this account but it will be settled very shortly. And then you do the same thing. You just send it to the IRS.
Or send it to both of them at the same time.
Or you could send it to both of them at the same time. If one doesn't accept it, then
the other one's already in process.
Yeah.
Or why can't you just tell them that this has already been sent to the IRS for a settlement, and you'll be notified shortly? What are they going to do?
Well, because you don't know how they're going to handle that. They may say, why are you sending it to the IRS when we're the ones requesting the payment? What do you think you're doing? And now you're kind of put into a spot where you have to explain it.
Yeah. All right. That's all I wanted to clear up.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
North Indiana.
Doug?
Hello, Indiana. Yes?
I got a silly, and that may not pertain to anything. I just was been running through my head. I watched on Fox News Channel the other night where they interviewed one of the senators, and I can't remember his name. He's a little dude. He's an older gentleman, saying that they're trying to pass the law, and it looks like it may pass, that the Federal Reserve will be audited. What is it? How is that? Will that change anything that what you're talking about now? Because you're not. We all know the Federal Reserve's rotten. So, is that going to change anything what these people are trying to do now?
As far as I know, it shouldn't affect it. In fact, I don't see them actually carrying through with it. I think they're just saying something so that the people will be appeased at what they're attempting to offer when nothing's going to take place. Because the Federal Reserve is not part of the United States. It's a private, independent company, and I don't think they're even associated with any country at all. And therefore, if the United States puts pressure on them saying we're going to do an audit, they may say, well, then we're going to take all of our money and leave. Mm-hmm. And then we get thrown into a bigger crisis before, because all the banks will be just shut down right there and then, and the only people who know how to do anything at all will be people like us who are writing bonds or doing accepted for values or something along those lines. The rest of everybody else is going to be pounding on our doors trying to eat our families. So the Federal Reserve is still in a good position where they can just say, no.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, also, Doug, the only way this process would quit working is if we went back to using money, which I don't see that happen.
Yeah, essentially, I would agree with that. It's that would be the only way to really stop this process is give us the type of money that we were supposed to have in the beginning. So, and technically, I'm not sure that I could ever see this ending, because even if we were to go back on the gold and silver standard, we still have bonds. Bonds change. It's just paper instruments, and they change in value depending upon how much people are willing to spend on them and how much not. And those bonds and those corporate documents and everything don't increase in value or don't create more gold as such. And therefore, it's still all on paper. It's still just imaginary stuff, and it keeps the companies moving. So I'm not even sure that if we went back to gold and silver that this part would ever change, unless you got rid of the whole Securities Exchange Commission and everything related to it.
Well, it's 6:24 my time. I don't see anybody has any questions here. Star 8 if you have a question. Here we go. Central Colorado.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I apologize. I was in a meeting until just a few minutes ago, and I was trying to find out if there was a way to get a copy of the recording, because I know I missed a whole bunch of information.
Yeah, quite a bit. This is being recorded, so there's a way to get it.
Okay. Is that on TalkShoe or?
Yes, and we'll post that on the redemption by method a little later tonight.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Texas, you're up next.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm on there. I'm not sure if I'm not talking about anything. There's just one question, and I'm not sure.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay.
All right, back to Central Colorado then.
Okay.
Am I muted?
Yes. Colorado, go ahead.
Oh, I thought I had myself muted. I didn't have anything. Sorry.
All right. So going to Connecticut again. Go ahead, Connecticut.
Hi, this is Bernice again. If someone has not filed IRS, income taxes, can they do this and leave it blank so that the IRS can assess what is owed? Because sometimes they will do that if you haven't filed for a length of time.
Yeah. I hadn't filed since about 2099, something like that. And I started doing accepted for value, and I was a little bit concerned about that too. But one of the first things I did was grab all my old tax notices and demand letters and everything, and just started doing a massive accepted for value on all of them, and money orders and signing the backs and everything. It was a all-day project and everything, and sent the whole package out to the IRS. They took care of it. They didn't blink an eye. They didn't do anything. Oregon Department of Revenue did come by and asked me to file for I guess this year, or maybe it was last year, and they said if you don't file, we'll do the report for you, and you're going to have to pay whatever we say. And I said, thank you, I accept your offer. Please do, and I will accept for value anything that you give to me, and we'll settle the account as soon as I possibly can. And that was the last I heard of them. So, yeah, you can do this even if you've not filed for a while. If they send you anything that says that you owe anything, accept it for value and send it back to them.
Wow. Now, what about LLCs and corporations? Can they utilize this too?
The corporations can't do the accepted for value because they're not flesh and blood. They can't sign anything. You can sign in their behalf. You use your own exemption ID information and sign it with your own name. So basically it would be just like they're taxing you a second time. And you just sign off on it and turn it into a money order, send it back to them. That should work just fine. It's just like you can do the accepted for value for your friends or your neighbors. Well, you can also do it for your corporations and your LLCs and trusts and all those other things too.
Oh, wonderful. That's awesome news. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we got two in Texas. Go ahead, Texas. Whichever one's line open. Texas? Go ahead.
Hello, Texas? Are you there?
One just hung up. The other one's still there, so I don't know.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is Steve in Texas. Can this process be used to discharge like a criminal case or probation or that kind of stuff also that you know of?
I'm not absolutely positive because I'm not on probation, but I don't see why not. It's a debt that you're paying either through your body or through your financial situation. I don't see any reason why you can't do an accepted for value on whatever papers you have. Again, this is a court document, so I would do the front and the back, accepted for value, and yeah, and just do a blank money order if you don't know the amount, and send it into either the court or the IRS.
Okay. And just like a judgment or whatever the probation order was or whatever applies on that, something like that.
Yeah, I would do those too.
Okay.
And I'm studying the 1099 OID or 1099A's abandonment process, and on court cases and other difficult accounts that won't let me do an accepted for value or something on them. I have one collection agency I don't know what's going on with them, why the accepted for values haven't gone through. But if it doesn't go through this next time, I'll just do an 1099A on them and get rid of the account altogether.
All right.
But I don't see why you can't do that with court cases too.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you much.
You're welcome.
Central Colorado, you're up again.
Hi. My question is similar to the lady that was talking a little bit earlier. I had gone back through and did CTC's cracking the code on a bunch of stuff, so I know what I'm going to get is a bunch of $5,000 frivolous filing fees. Mm-hmm. And what I was thinking of doing was going back and actually refiling all of those returns with the amount that is actually stated on the W-2s and the 1099s, and then do an accepted for value for that amount plus the frivolous filing fee. Is that a viable plan?
That sounds like a great plan.
So can I do that incrementally, or should I wait till I get the, incrementally meaning accept for value for the amount of the return and then wait for the frivolous filing fees to come at my door? Or
well, yeah. Yeah, because you don't know when or how long it'll take. Just do 1 year at a time. Right. And that's something else I should have mentioned, too. Even though I talked about bundling all these things up, I bundled them up within their own years. Right. That was more important when you first get started than now, because everything I get now is current. But, yeah, you could do that. Do 1040Xs or whatever, correct all the stuff, and if they ask for money, then you just do an accepted for value.
So
you can either wait till they bill you for the amount, or you can try and be creative and somehow prepay them or something.
Okay. So my next question is for 97 and 98, which was a joint return. Both of those years were joint returns with my wife and I. And on those years, those 2 years, they have recorded in the county recorder's office liens on both of those years. When I do the refiling of those years and send that in, what do I need to do in order to resolve the lien issue? Anything extra, or should they? What
I would probably do, just off the top of my head, of course, is go to the courthouse and try and get a copy of the liens, or at least information on the liens, and do an accepted for value on those, and then go and take care of the taxes, the 1040s or whatever, and do those. That way, that gets you're kind of taking care of it twice, but with liens and everything, why not?
So the ironic part about that is I do have that information already from the county recorder's office. However, the amount that it shows has never ever changed as a direct result of garnishment on wages or installments or whatever the case may be. So should I go ahead and say I will accept this amount from the county recorder? That's an interesting thought. Here's a rabbit trail for you. Accept that amount that's in the county recorder's office, of which is going to be a greater amount than what we currently owe as a result of the garnishments, and as a result of that disparity in amounts, would we get money back from the accepted for value?
I don't know that you would get money back from the accepted for value, but one of the things you could do just to find out is do the accepted for value for the full amount, even though it's over, And then once you know, and this one I would send in by certified mail, and so once you know that they have accepted it or have received it, then you do an abatement and refund and say that this has been settled and the lien should be removed or abated, and I should receive a refund of so much back, so many dollars back, and then send that into wherever. And those, with abatements and refunds, you send those back to the office from which they emerged from, so you can get the right agent or at least the right department or something. You're not doing accepted for value, so you don't have to, pretend you're not or something of that nature. You can just send the abatement and refund form to them.
Okay. And are those abatement and refund forms available somewhere from somebody?
Oh, yeah, from the IRS. I think it's Form 843. I'm not positive on that.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's okay.
Or you can make up your own, but, make it easy on them.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Are you going to mute me, or do I need to mute myself?
South Carolina, you're up.
Yes, let me ask another question. Actually, it's three questions. We have a judgment against us for a credit card debt. I went to court over it. I wound up walking out of court because of some of the things that were said, and that's what wound us up with the judgment against us. If I just go in and send in the old credit card statement, will that take care of that judgment, or do I have to go back to those court papers? I've got reams of that mess, and turn all of that stuff in. How would you do that?
I would. Well, see, that's since the judgment's already been made, you can do it one of several ways. In this case, if you have reams of paper, then I wouldn't do an accepted for value on all of them. I would look for the one page that I would need to accept and turn into a money order, one that has an amount preferably, but if not, again, you can write in your own. I would also write to the company themselves and say, I have this judgment against you. I want to settle it as soon as I possibly can. Please let me know what the current balance is on that debt, and it will be taken care of ASAP. And once they send you a letter, you can do accepted for value for that, because then I'll have the name, the account number, all the pertinent information for the IRS to make sure it's taken care of. The other thing is take a look at your credit report and see if it's through them or through another collection agency, and just give everybody an accepted for value. If it's the same company, then don't worry about it. But I would do the credit card company and whatever collection agency that handled it. I'm not so sure you need to do the court as long as they've been satisfied. After they've been satisfied, or at least you think you did, you can contact the court and see what their records show. Or I would probably first contact the credit card company again after you're sure that it's been taken care of, and ask them again, how much do I owe you? Has it been taken care of? I'm doing my best to settle this account. What is it? If it hasn't changed, do another accepted for value and send it to a different IRS office. It may be that they just haven't gotten to it yet. And then, after a little while, check with them again. Once you get a letter from them that says, I don't know what you're talking about, or the debt has been settled, you can send that into the court and go that direction and say, this has been settled, so take it off, close the account or something.
Okay. Does this work with property taxes?
Yes.
How far can you go back on property taxes, or do you just do what you currently owe?
I think if it's a debt, you can go back as far as the debts go back. So whether it's current debt or whether it's an old debt, I think the older the better, because the further back it goes, the more you have proof it's a debt. You know, you're not purchasing something; it's a debt, and they have to take care of debts dollar for dollar.
Okay. Do you still file now, or have you started filing again? Because I stopped filing in '99. That was the last year I ever filed. Do you file now?
I'm starting to file again. I'm trying to learn the 1099As and OID process while doing it. But yes, I'm filing again because I don't have to pay them, so why not?
Okay, I'd have to learn how to do all that all over again because I've been so long. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Doug, how's your time working out here?
We have a few more minutes, and then I should probably start getting ready.
All right, we have one more, and then we'll let you go after that. Asma?
Okay.
If I'm pronouncing it right.
Hi, Doug. Thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
On this example here, I'm just trying to understand it. It makes sense to me that if because of HJR 192 they're responsible for the debt, then we should actually be sending these to the government or the IRS for the resolution of this. So on the stamp you have like exemption number, and then you have deposit to the U.S. Treasury and charge the same to John A. Doe. So basically that deposit to the U.S. Treasury, that would be written on every one of them, whether it be this IRS example that I have here or a car loan or a credit card bill, that kind of thing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
It's simple enough.
All your accepted for values will say deposit to U.S. Treasury. All of your documents should say deposit to the U.S. Treasury at least once. Maybe twice if you got it on both sides. The pay to the United States Treasury only needs to be put on there once. And yeah.
Okay.
But that's why that is being done, is because they have the duty and the obligations to pay these off dollar for dollar. If you make it payable to the company or something, they don't have a requirement for that. Now, you can make a long argument and say, well, you got your EIN number and you're subject to U.S. tax codes and all this other kind of stuff, so this one takes precedent, and therefore you have to accept these just as much as anybody else does. But it's a lot easier just to have everything payable and deposited to the United States Treasury so they can take care of these debts that they're supposed to take care of. So we need to give them our debts, and they'll be happy.
Yeah, that makes total sense. If I said I was going to pay somebody else's Ford bill, they wouldn't send it to Ford and say Stan's going to pay it. They'd give it to me, and I would do the paying. So
exactly.
That makes sense. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, that appears to be it, Doug.
Okay.
Which is good for you, because we don't want you to be late for your engagement.
Yeah,
it
still worked out fine.
We really appreciate you spending your time with us and answering all these questions. Is there any way somewhere, either later tonight or tomorrow, me and you could get together? Because I want to try to get all this posted for everybody.
Probably not later on tonight, because I'll be otherwise engaged. Tomorrow, maybe late tomorrow, probably around 7, 8 o'clock, I'm thinking.
Okay. Because I want to get these examples out. I mean, like to say, the IRS bills was posted once. I'll repost it. And that way they can see how that works out. And then the stuff from HJR was on there. I'll post that too. And that way, but we need to get one for the regular bills. I think that's the one not everybody has down yet.
Yeah, I've often wondered about that too. And I haven't gotten around to taking one of mine and doing stuff to it. Suppose I could do something like that.
All right. All right. Well, everybody, I know everybody appreciates your time, Doug, and thanks for being on here with us.
You're welcome.
Okay, goodbye, everybody. Be looking for the postings later.